hear a discussion that you probably will never have heard anything like it before, then please do come and join us. So Victor, thank you very much for being here. You have an exceptionally busy work schedule. The first thing I'm going to say is, what is NSV Auto?
Fantastic. Thanks, Alex, for having me here today. It's a great pleasure. So NSV Auto is an automotive company that is based in Dubai, but we have offices around the world, in Malaysia, India, America, Australia. And we design automotive accessories for various car companies, both importers and genuine accessories to car companies.
We were chatting earlier on today, and I was so surprised at how many accessories there are when it comes to the automotive industry. Just explain to us how it works, because a lot of manufacturers don't build. In fact, are there any manufacturers that build a vehicle 100% in-house?
I would think some of the niche manufacturers you see out there do, but most of the large car companies have various suppliers that build their vehicles for them. So all the accessories, all the products are brought together and assembled on the production line in a just in time. So every day the products are delivered to the car companies and the production line starts. So suppliers like us that provide them some of those products.
When you say products, what sorts of products are we talking about?
As far as NSV goes, we basically say our company is a design company. We can almost design anything. We make things from body kits for cars to navigation systems, rear seat entertainment, or an example you'll see on the Toyota stand today is this crazy Hilux there, which the majority of the vehicle we produced in under 6 weeks, in fact. So a pretty crazy schedule to produce a vehicle of that nature. That's a concept car, and everything that was designed for the vehicle. Some things may go into production, others will be just used for inspiration.
That's incredible. So if you are walking around today and you want to have a look at this vehicle in person, then of course it is there today. And as you said, Victor, 6 weeks, that's incredibly short running time to be able to come out with something that looks like this. And it does, it looks amazingly, it looks fantastic in fact, even the bikes.
If you actually take most of the products that are on there, most of them have been 3D printed, so the front, the scoop with the light in it, so that is actually a 3D printed part. On the roof, the light module there with the Batman wings hanging off the back, that's also 3D printed and then covered in carbon fibre. But with 3D printing we can do amazing things in very, very short periods of time.
I bet you can.
In fact, the front bumper on the car, if you look at the metal bumper, last Friday that didn't exist. Our head designer designed that basically on Friday night, our fabricators worked on it on Saturday, and by Sunday it was on the car, so quite amazing.
Before we get into how you actually come up with the concepts and how these things go from whether it's computer data design or perhaps you even do different elements as well to more traditional ways, but what's your background? How did you get into the automotive industry?
I started off straight out of university working for a company called Philips Electronics, one of the largest electronics companies in the world, for their automotive division, and worked my way up through the company in various roles. And I love cars. I always loved working on cars, and it's a passion. And if you come to our company, you'll see that we actually enjoy every day we go to work. We just love what we do. We're just kids playing with cars, basically. But obviously responsible and correct way as well.
So does this mean to say that some of your personal vehicles don't look like they originally did because of all the accessories?
Unfortunately, as a company, we've been growing so much over the last 20 years that my own vehicles tend to get neglected the most. So I collect classic Toyotas actually, and other Japanese cars as well. I've got a range of about 25 vehicles, but I get them all restored somewhere else because my guys can certainly do it, but we're too busy focusing on things like this for big car companies. So
we love Japanese cars. Why Toyota in particular then? Is there a Toyota of days gone by that just made you fall in love with the brand?
My father always drove Toyotas, so I have a soft spot there for them. But I own one of the oldest Nissan Patrols in the world. I own a 1937 Nissan pickup as well. So I have quite a different range of vehicles. But it's just a passion for fun. The business side of things is something quite different.
So let's talk about the business then. Tell us about some of the products. Let's talk about the first product. What was the first product that you designed that you got out there and really took off?
Actually, that's an interesting question because probably one of our biggest products for probably the last 10 years, starting back probably 1999, 2000, was a Bluetooth hands-free car kit. We were one of the world leader in that. And what's interesting, where that came from was actually Saudi Arabia, where overnight, I think about 2001, 2002, they allowed camera phones to all of a sudden appear. And at that time, the camera phones also had Bluetooth. And everyone in the rest of the world was using a plan, so every 2 or 3 years you change your phone. But typically over here, as everybody knows, when a new phone comes out,
2 or 3 days,
everybody buys it. So Bluetooth became a very popular thing. And in Saudi Arabia, where you have restaurants with girls on one side of the restaurant, boys on the other side of the restaurant, they soon learned that Bluetooth, you could send pictures and details across the restaurant. So Bluetooth became a very popular product. And so from a marketing perspective, the car companies in this region took to Bluetooth very quickly. And we're still selling Bluetooth kits now all around the world. So.
And I'm sure probably everybody that's here now actually uses Bluetooth as well. I know that I do. That's incredible to think that you were the first person to introduce these sorts of systems. Did that then open your mind to being able to think about how far you could stretch that to other accessories?
Well, it tends to be that one accessory leads to another accessory, which leads to another one. So, with Bluetooth now, we're using that same technology to control the audio systems in the car from the back seat. So we have an application, a little box, and we can allow somebody to control the volume up and down, the radio station. So the kids can be in the back of the car, or you can be at a campsite and control the radio in the car, but also the lighting in the car as well, using that Bluetooth technology, because most cars now have Bluetooth from the factory as standard built into the audio system. So we use that technology for other things now. So.
I'd really like to touch on the way that the automotive industry is going, and in particular digitalisation, because we'll be speaking to somebody, if not tomorrow, the next day, who is the digitalisation manager for one of the manufacturers, and that seems to be a really prominent area in the automotive industry. But before we go into that, I'd just like to say we do have we are giving some very interesting accessories away here this afternoon in the next half an hour or so, so please do come and join us. What I'm going to say is, I want you to have a look at this and see if you can think what this might be. I thought it might be a moustache for Movember, but apparently not. So if you have a look at this and just have a think, what could this be? We will be giving away some of these in a little while, certainly before 4 o'clock today, so do stay with us. Technology then, what are the differences of what you were designing 20 years ago to now?
Obviously applications is going to be a very big part of the future moving forward, and I guess this is one of the struggles the automotive industry has, is that providing an application that can be future-proof, because when people are designing a car, they're planning 6 years plus in advance, and if you look at your iPhone from 6 years ago, it's changed enormously. So ourselves, we are working on basically Android-based devices, which the software can be updated and be future-proof. And anything we design, we try to make sure we don't want to lock it into one platform, so we need to be able to change the software into the future. So our rear screens, our navigation systems are all software updatable, and so we keep them as future-proof as possible. Now, where we see it going is your phone really becomes the hub of everything, and giving you the ability to use your phone in the vehicle, we see is far more important than providing the device in the vehicle, and what you're holding there has a key to that as well. So
I noticed that actually there is something on top of here that would fit a phone as well, so that might give you an indication of what it might be. It might not help, it might hinder in guessing what it is. I know these gentlemen at the front certainly know what it is. I hope they know what it is. If not, they're in trouble. But yeah, I mean, definitely there's a lot of difference in what people are looking for now in comparison to what they were before. One of the things that I've certainly seen in the automotive industry, I would say probably as little as the last 5 years, are what actually comes as on an entry-level vehicle. So whereas before it was very basic and we got excited if we got, in some cases we were excited if we got electric windows, now it's almost expected that we have so many features and what the functions are, and just things like storage or what the screens are like within the vehicle, whether we get entertainment systems in the back and the front, what are the applications that are used on that. And I know that you've had some dealings in those areas as well.
Yeah, most certainly, and that's always a challenge of differentiating the vehicles, and looking at your competition as a car company, if you give too much on the entry-level vehicle, you're not going to be able to sell your higher-level vehicles, but you also need to compete with your competitors as well. So it's a fine balance, and different markets have different requirements. Even some strange things like in certain markets over here with pickups, people love red. It has red on the interior, they just want the red interior.
Really?
Yeah, it most certainly is. In certain markets here, and stripes on the side of the car.
Is that something you have to think about when you're designing a new product then?
Most definitely. Certain products work in some regions, certain products don't. So the products I have here are actually products which we don't sell in the Middle East. One of the products is an iPad tablet holder, but not successful in the Middle East at all.
Okay, well we'll go into that in just a few moments' time. What I will say and touch on is, how difficult is it then to be a manufacturer of new products and accessories and be able to develop that knowing that it's secure and you have the patent and then nobody else is going to do that?
I guess it depends on markets. It is one of the difficult things we face over here is that in the Middle East market, even though we design patent some products, that it's very difficult to enforce the design patent. The trademark infringement is there, but in fact, design patents are very, very difficult to enforce.
Okay.
Countries like America, England, Australia, the laws are pretty good, but over here it's a bit more difficult.
Now, if we look behind us, we do have a video. Just explain what this is all about.
What's going on there is an unofficial crash test. We're abusing a rear seat entertainment to ensure that it can handle a hit without cracking and endangerment of the person. Obviously, this is an extreme example, but if you are in a car and there's an accident, you're hitting that screen, you don't want any sharp parts to break off, any cracks, because it will cut your head open. And you'll see the impacts that this screen is taking. It's quite phenomenal.
You know, we can look at this and we can smile and we can laugh, and he's got a great big smile on his face and he's obviously tried his hardest to break that screen. But joking aside, this is a really, really important element. In fact, let's just play that again as we're going through. It's so important, isn't it? And would you say that this is the difference between people like yourselves who have put time and effort into making sure that it's something that's not just functional and looks good and works, but it's also high on the safety aspect as well?
Of course, as a brand, we put safety as the number one thing, and we certainly want none of our products ever to endanger a customer that's using that or endanger the brand that's taking the product. And there's regulations that cover these things in America and Europe with the ECE standards, but we even take it one step further. We actually go over and above those standards to ensure that the product is extra safe. And by buying a product as an accessory from the genuine manufacturer, you'll know that it should have gone through the proper tests to ensure that it's not going to endanger your family in the vehicle. And you do see many retail products which are very, very dangerous. So they may be cheaper, but they're cheaper for a reason. So.
Absolutely. In fact, just to put this into context, I was involved in and still am involved in a motor racing series that it's a part of a rally, and there are some boxes that are incorporated onto quad bikes and motorbikes. And for some time, those boxes which gave the mapping information were completely square, and they were designed that they wouldn't break when you were in the middle of the desert or out on difficult terrain. However, what became apparent in the first couple of years is when there was an accident where there was a rider who would kind of drop off an uneven level of road surface, or even come to a complete standstill very quickly, even though they were wearing protection in terms of a helmet, because they were hyperextending as they were going over the front, they were catching themselves on this square box. And it meant that we saw lots of people who really, I have to say, were very lucky to still be alive, and lots of injuries to the neck. So it does show us, often we'll look at things and we'll think, oh, that's quite interesting, or it looks like a nice design because it's curved, but these are really important safety elements, aren't they? What other things do you have to look at in terms of the video that we saw with the screen? What do you have to make sure of? Because I'm sure that you're not going to want to pick that up and then try and use it again as a screen.
Of course, if you have a look at this video now, you'll see two systems. One with it flying off of the vehicle. That's a 22G impact, which is a pretty significant impact, but you want no sharp edges, nothing to fall off, because things can damage you in the car. And the other, probably most important thing also is the radiuses. So you're looking for large curved surfaces. on anything that's in the car. And if you look at any vehicle past 1990 production over here, you'll see that everything has raised surfaces. If you have a sharp surface, it's going to decapitate you or cause serious injury. So you want big round surfaces on everything, and that's why many aftermarket products look much more high-tech and futuristic, because they have sharp lines, but you have it in the car and it's going to be a danger to you.
So let's have a look in these boxes then and explain to us some of the products that you have. You did mention that not necessarily available in this region, and quite interesting reasons why as well.
Well, if we take a couple of products, this one here is a small compressor system for Lexus, which we provide in Asia Pacific. Not really relevant for this market over here, because this is for an emergency situation where you need to blow your tyre up. But most people with a 4x4 over here want to go to the desert, and so they need a much larger compressor system. So the compressor we supply for the Middle East market is different from what we supply to other markets around the world.
I'll be honest, I thought you were going to say the reason we don't need it is because we just phone somebody to come and inflate it.
That is possibly a reason as well, yeah.
That's probably what I do, I'll be honest. So that's quite an interesting one, the compressor, and that's, you see, I mean, does that come as standard within the Lexus?